Welcome back. Now we should have a better understanding of what Cicd is: continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. Let's review what we've learned so far. Now, you may not have realized it, but you just learned the foundational practices that make you a rockstar developer. Why? Because you know how a good software project should be set up, what tools to use, what practices to follow to make sure that this isn't a small, silly little project. You know what some of the companies do, some of the biggest companies in the world do to make sure that they can scale to millions of users and thousands of employees working on the same code base. We saw that having a good code PR system where we're constantly making changes and small features and having daily pull requests that now get automatically run with build steps and test steps, linting, and any other checks that we want. We then do code reviews and merge daily new features. We then can explore different things like continuous delivery and deployment, where we have acceptance tests or testers that test our software, and then we can manually deploy it to production to our actual users, or we can have that automated as well. And this diagram is what most good companies follow. This process that takes quite a bit of time until you actually have code in production. We write our code on our machines as developers using tools like TypeScript, linting, and tests to make sure our codes pass. We then can have something like a pre-commit hook that checks our code, perhaps makes it prettier so that we have a consistent format with the rest of the project. We then make that pull request on GitHub, and Circle CI, as soon as that pull request arrives, says, ooh, okay, let me run some tests for you. Make sure that you're not going to mess up our code base. Run some tests, everything passes. You then go to your teammates and other people view your code. We do a code review. They say, maybe we can fix this. Maybe you can do this. If they don't accept, you start back from here and redo everything. If they accept, they'll merge your changes into GitHub. And in most companies, you'll see something like deploying to staging. Staging is kind of like a practice field to make sure that before we send it out to the real world, everything works as it's supposed to. We can add a process.env equals staging environmental variable, and we can have some if statements in our code base that says, if this is staging, maybe test the speed of our app, how much CPU we're using, if it's connecting to the database properly, and you want to mimic the staging as much as you can with production, such as having similar databases, similar information. The more the staging has in common with production, the more we can assume that things are going to work once we push to production. We then have something like acceptance testing, where perhaps a tester or a product owner or even Bruno tests on the staging server to make sure everything works, that our new feature works. And once all of that is passed, then finally we can assume, okay, the code is safe, let's deploy to production with the environmental variable production. And all is well, but we're not done yet. We have something called smoke tests. And smoke tests, if you're going to deploy every commit automatically to production, you need to make sure that you have a good way to be alerted if something goes wrong. So sometimes a new change won't break production right away and it passed all these tests, but it'll cause perhaps your CPU or memory consumption to go really, really high and break the app. So you might want to have, for smoke tests, real-time monitoring of your production servers to be able to track irregularities or metrics that show that something's not going right. And you have companies not like New Relic that allow you to monitor your servers. Again, we always have tools. And you can see here that it's a constant battle to make sure that no matter how many coders we have, no matter how big the code base gets, we have a nice, smooth process to have everything flow nicely so that by the time it gets to production, we can minimize our risk. The risk that we might lose revenue or users or even just regular satisfaction with our customers. And if all of this works and we are able to help with this as senior developers, well then, we make everybody happy. And that's the goal of a senior developer. A senior developer isn't necessarily the person that knows the coolest functions and can write the cleverest code. No, a senior developer is somebody that understands this process, can make sure that this process flows smoothly, that everything is working fine with Circle CI. We're making all the tests necessary. We have all the smoke tests in place. A senior developer is somebody that is able to have a big picture view of how we can make this flow from writing code on a developer's laptop to putting it in production. If you're able to master this, understand this, then you're able to manage teams and manage projects. And then everybody is going to be happy with you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.